Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I'm not sure what time you're watching this, but either way, welcome to the Westman Wedding Expo edition number, whatever it is, of Ask the Experts. Because we're going to say whatever number it is because we don't know what order you're actually watching this in. There you are. I'm your host, Brian Pudwarney, and I am co-producer of the Westman Wedding Expo, which is held annually here in Brandon, Manitoba at the Keystone Center. This year is actually our 10th anniversary. It's very, very exciting, very cool times. So we are, of course, in the Ask the Expert segment today, and with me is a longtime friend and comrade, shall we say, Mr. David Ternier, who owns a company called Special Request Weddings. Dave, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate being here in the middle of the night. truly an honor. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of the series that the Westman Wedding Expo is putting on. Really great idea. Really excited to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Let's get right down to the nuts and bolts of things. If you could elevator pitch what it is exactly Special Request Weddings is, what would you say about it? What is Special Request Weddings? Who are you and so on?
Well, those who know me know that Dave has an issue with brevity and few words. So elevator pitches aren't my style. But in short, if you forced me for the purpose of this show, I'm a DJ, I'm an MC for weddings. I suppose if people were to define which of those two might be my specialty, MCing might edge out the DJ side of things a little bit, but yeah, this is what I specialize in. I specialize in weddings, not entirely exclusively, but weddings are where my real passion, where my real love comes into play, and take on a few other events throughout the year, but they're the exception to the rule, typically speaking with me.
Okay, so if I am a couple looking to hire their entertainment, chances are, and I mean, especially out in Manitoba, you're looking for a DJ, not necessarily an MC. Why should someone hire their DJ to be their MC?
Well, if you were to ask me that question back in 2010, I would have said, God, you shouldn't. That's a horrible idea. You're mad. Don't do that. But then through a conversation that took place about 12 months after that conversation I had, I had people point out to me, they said, Dave, why would you let someone who has never run a wedding reception before, why would you let them run it? Why would you let someone use your microphone if they don't use them for a living? Why would you let somebody with, no performance training whatsoever be responsible for captivating 100 or 200 people? And, okay, now this is going to happen. Now this is going to happen. Now this is going to happen. Why would you let somebody who has no training in that be responsible for that role at your wedding? So I guess that's maybe why people might want to consider hiring somebody that's got a few weddings under their belt.
What do you like? How important to? I mean, obviously, from the DJ side of things, there's one point of view, but how important is having a good to great MC going to be in the overall course of the evening of the reception? How much of a difference will it make?
Right. I guess I'll maybe do that by sharing, as I often do. I'll answer that by illustrating it with a quick short story. I met with a couple a number of years ago for their upcoming wedding, and they loved everything about my level of involvement and this and that. And at the end of the day, they said, look, Dave, we just can't afford what you do, but we think it's worth every penny, and we're going to tell everybody about you, even though we just can't fit you in. Well, as it so happened, a month later, they got in touch with me and said, oh my God, Dave, please tell us you still have our wedding date open. We were just at a wedding where for the first, from cocktails until dance started, that 3-ish, sometimes 4 hours, almost nothing happened. And by the time the dance came, we were so disconnected with the event that we stayed for the first dance, and then we couldn't wait to get out of there. We have no idea if the DJ was amazing or not. And so that taught me a lot about the value that a proper MC can bring. I tell people most of the time now that, look, if we can have your guests coming up to you, or at least speaking among those at their table during dinner or what have you, before the dance starts, if we can have them saying this is the best wedding they've ever been to before the dance starts, well, now the dance is just icing on the cake. And there are a large variety of ways you can accomplish that. And Brian, as you know, I mean, look, we began as DJs back in the mid '90s, so we'd like to think everyone's going to dance on our dance floor, but the honest truth is not everybody is really crazy about dancing. So how can you connect with them in some manner before maybe the dancing even starts? That'll help them say, this is the greatest party I've ever been to.
But that being said, I mean, emceeing is just talking in a microphone, right? That's what everybody assumes it is. It's just, hey, Uncle Harry he's a great talker. We'll give him a couple of whiskeys and he'll get up there and he can talk. Isn't that what it's all about, though?
Well, yeah. But one could also say, all Anthony Hopkins does is talks in front of a camera. But somehow he produces incredible movies because of the gift and the skills in which he's been trained to create what he does for the audiences that watch the movies that he stars in. Some people have maybe more of an ability to do that than others. And it should be noted that, the Dave Ternier that most people know isn't necessarily default Dave. It has been countless hours and workshops and what have you to become this. So while some people might be natural born, sure that I fully understand that. I mean, look, your Uncle Tom might be remarkable, but in faced with the pressures of delivering for so many people, look, it's something I still get nervous about. But I like to think that nervousness keeps me a little bit honest.
So you're mentioning about training and the workshops and so on. What else is there other than talking that an MC has to do? Because what Anthony Hopkins does, he does his voice training and so on and so forth. But I mean, there's got to be more to it than just getting up and talking. So can you walk us through the process of what a decent MC should do in advance and even on that day?
Right. So I can't speak to all MCs, but I can speak to what I do and how I produce my role. And that is, in short, through countless hours spent with my couples ahead of time. It may sound cliched or may sound whatever you want to call it, but if I've done my job right, clients hire me, but I only end up working for friends. And that comes about because of the many, many hours I spend in person with my couples ahead of time through various planning sessions. If I was to put on an average, it's probably anywhere from 10 to 12 hours in person with every couple ahead of their wedding, so that by the wedding day comes, I'm not just some guy standing up there saying things. I'm actually a person who's gotten to know them and their wedding party and their families to a point where I can maybe blur the line between having people wonder, is he a long lost cousin we didn't know about? or is he a friend that we just didn't realize? So a large part of the preparation for my role involves getting to know the couples I work with really incredibly so that I can actually bring a balanced approach to things. I mean, all due respect to Uncle Tom or whoever we might be speaking of, he or she is going to know one side of the family really, really well. And unless they're well-versed and well-skilled and well-trained in discovering who the other side of the family is so that when they perform this role at the wedding, they can be balanced. Unless they're really skilled and trained in that area, it's likely going to be that one side of the family knows that person a lot more than the other side. So there's always going to be this imbalance in that situation. Maybe you've got a great friend who can be the MC. That might work as well. But again, it'll all depend on, how well do they know you from the standpoint of, okay, if I didn't know you at all, what do I need to share with all your guests so that everybody's on the same page as to why we're here? Right. Well, for me, I have to get to know everything. So that allows me a blank slate almost to come up with the story and the creation of what we're going to do.
If they're just going to hire a DJ that it just isn't normal everyday DJ, comes in, plays music and gets the party going and all that sort of stuff, and they are having an MC that is going to be a family member, is going to be a friend or whatever it may be, do you have 2 or 3 points of advice that you would pass on to those people to help them create something like this? I mean, like the grand entrance that you're talking about, that's pretty, I mean, that takes time and effort and so on. It might be a different level for some and so on. But if you were if you were a first time or second time MC at an event, what kind of things would you point out to those people?
Probably the biggest thing that I would want to point out to someone who's maybe going to MC their friend's wedding, is that this is not about you. Don't try to be the funny person up there just for the sake of being funny. It's got to have some purpose to it. And if it doesn't, don't, the spotlight, very deservedly so, needs to be on the couple sitting at the head table. So, going to, book XYZ for some standard wedding jokes isn't necessarily going to be the greatest route for you to go. If you're an engaging and fun person, that'll come naturally with how you preside over what has to happen at that wedding. So have fun introducing a wedding couple and their wedding party members. Get to know everybody who's going to be doing speeches. Maybe confirm with them ahead of time as well, so that you don't have people on the wedding day of going, "What do you mean, Bill? I'm doing toast to the, huh?"
Had a few.
Buddy, you asked me that night we'd had a few drinks. What do you expect me to remember that? Right? Have those conversations ahead of time, because I discover through the couples that approach me, one of the frequent pain points is, "Oh, Dave, I don't know if we want speeches at our wedding. They can be dull, they can be boring, what have you." Well, look, any basic MC can get a hold of the people that are scheduled to do speeches ahead of time, and just discuss with them what's going to happen. Look, you're going to be taking 3, maybe 5 minutes to talk about this person. You're going to share with everybody what some of their great qualities are. Maybe you're going to share a short story or two. Keep it short, keep it to the point, keep it engaging. Less is more. I realize it's ironic coming from a guy who talks too much sometimes. But don't be afraid to get involved in anything that you have to introduce or preside over. Ask questions and become really well informed, because the day of, you look a lot less.
Remind everybody about how to contact you. What's the best way?
You can contact me. Google Special Request Weddings. It's probably the best way. You'll find my website. There's a contact form there. I shouldn't admit this on an interview like this, but it's a really out-of-date website. But that's because I'm so busy focused on the couples I work with today, everybody. But people can find me on Facebook too. Facebook is probably where I'm most active. Special Request Weddings has a presence on Facebook as well. And the presence may be infrequent as far as regular posting this type of thing, but rest assured, lots happening behind the scenes. So
nice. Well, your clients are blessed to have you, and it's fantastic. Thanks so much for giving me your time, Dave, and I appreciate it. And definitely an expert in the field. Next time, maybe if we do this again, we'll actually get you to talk about music, considering DJ is kind of a big thing.
I love music. Had a heck of a party this past weekend. So
nice.
Anyway,
thanks again, Dave.
For the opportunity, Brian. Take care.
Right on.